So on the bench today we've got this little Informer portable terminal. As you can see, it's got a problem with the deflection. We're only getting a horizontal line. The vertical deflection is out. That's most likely a driver transistor issue, although we'll find out. This is on loan to me to see if I can repair it and do a teardown video of. So I was told this was the condition it was in, which it is, which is really nice. The line that is at least lit there looks pretty stable. It's not wandering like there's a power supply issue, although I'm sure this thing could be recapped. Anyhow, a couple of other things to note. Yeah, turn the power off. Is just so it's captured when I opened it, the plastic down here is broke on the hinge. For the front, I will leave that for the owner to repair. I am going to remove the little keyboard if I can. I'm assuming this will unclip out of here. Hopefully it'll make it easier to work with. Anyhow, I'll remove the keyboard. We'll get the case off and see what we have inside. So we've got the unit on the bench here. It was just powered up, so I know we're going to have potentially charged capacitors inside I'll need to work around. Let's go ahead and see if we can back these screws out. I'm guessing there's more than these two screws holding the plastic case together. And there does seem to be, I don't know if these screws in here need to be removed or not. The hole for the screwdriver shaft isn't very big. Let's see if I can get a screwdriver in there and go ahead and back the screws on the handle off. Those are definitely longer. I'll leave those in the handle. Sit it back here. Good. So that came off nice and easy. Let's take a look what we got here. It's pretty dusty and dirty. No surprise. I need to be a little bit careful here. We've got looks to be a main logic board over on this side. We'll take a peek at. Throw the other glasses on so I have a chance of reading chip numbers. Those are the wrong ones. It's always the glasses game. We've got a MC2681P here, a 68B50, I don't know what these parts are, 68B09, I believe that's a processor, HD4650, something, can't read it. Now I see 1488, 1489, 1489, 1488. So there's the level translators for the RS-232. 3.6 megahertz crystal. Looks like 3 EPROMs. I will most likely pull these out and image them. I'm going to assume they're all 27-128s, most likely. Looks like a gate array device here. I bet these are SRAMs, 62, 64, 150. These are 64K SRAMs, which would make sense. Not a whole lot to see here. Microprocessor group. I'm assuming that's got to be the processor, the 68B09. I'm guessing this is a dual UART, perhaps. Or maybe these are both UART. 68B50 I don't recognize. 2681 I don't recognize. Another gate array device and just a sea of pretty standard TTL logic. Looks like a 19.71. Interesting. 19.718 megahertz CAN oscillator down here. Again, nothing radically crazy. There's one electrolytic here. which looks to be in okay shape. Let me gently get this thing rocked around. It's a little clumsy to handle. Well, looks like I could pull these latches off. If I can, it would make it a little simpler to handle. Hopefully those actually turn into metal. And they do. I'm going to go ahead and remove those latches from both sides, just to make it a little easier to flip-flop around here. Don't want to take a chance on generating leverage and, of course, breaking something. Something safe to grab onto here. We have something called a universal connector board on this side. A VME connector up here, perhaps. We've got probably modem, Ethernet, RS-232, thin wire, and a DIN connector. Don't know what it is. Possible, maybe this is a modem board. Unit contains registered protective circuitry. I'll bet that little board there might be a modem, though I don't know. Not a whole lot to see here. There's 4 large inductors back there. They're labeled L1 or L2, 3, L1, and L5. Assuming they're inductors, you can see there's unpopulated components. But what we're really in here for is the drive for the CRT. Let's see if we can get a peek inside. Let's see what we see. So, don't know the brand of the monitor. There's a switching power supply up here on the back that I'm kind of eyeballing, looking for capacitors with dome tops, and I don't see anything. Don't know what kind of time those caps have on them. And of course, we've got the CRT driver board here. Let's take a peek down through from this side, just see what I see. Pretty standard, single-sided construction. I can see the adjustments down in there, but they're hidden away. I see one large driver transistor on a heatsink. At this point we know we've got a good flyback. We've got a good heater in the CRT. We did see, the CRT light up, so it really becomes a question, really, of removing that board. I'm just looking at cable lengths, that kind of stuff. Getting the CRT discharged, if it's holding a charge. There are some large caps in there. It's really a rather clumsy assembly, and I really don't want to tear it down. I want to tear down it just as little as I have to. It's got a nice metal chassis that everything's mounted around, so I can sit it here safely. At least I believe. Well, yeah, it's for all purposes sitting safely. Lost one of the decals off of one of the EPROMs. Probably this guy right here, since he was missing a label and these two were labeled. So say I will most likely image those. Those are very tight. Let's take a look at what we've got here. Looks like there is a double washer. There is a nylon washer, which looks to be adhered to the board. I'll just have to be careful with those. That one does appear to be glued to the board. Okay, this one lifted off with the screw. Will this one lift off, or is it? Oh, came off and fell inside. Of course it did. I see it laying down in there. Let's see if I can get it out. Without losing it. There it is. Of course, the cable lengths are pretty short here. Definitely not designed for serviceability. So there's the drive for the yoke. See if I can get that to release. Boy, you're really determined to be stubborn, aren't you? It has got that pressure clip on the other side. Let's see if I can just get a screwdriver in there and do that. It is keyed, which helps. Now, are you challenging? There's a wire tie in there I'll need to snip out. So there's connectors for some of the leads, but not all of them. Trying to determine who has that caught the tightest. I see a ground lead. CB81A. I don't recognize the device number offhand. It is soldered directly in. Get across some of these caps in here. The larger ones, not that they should be holding any significant charge. I mean, it's a 25 volt cap. Most dangerous ones are going to be back here on the switching supply. What I'd like to do is drop this card out to the point I could get to that transistor. That's going to be easier said than done. So it's time for a piece of paper. And something to write with. PCB from the bottom. There are 3 pots on the front. There is a connector here that is yellow, green. Here to the yoke. There is a power transistor down here. Again, these are all in the front of the board. Go ahead and release this again. There is a system ground. So there are 2 pots. There's a system ground connected right here. We are starting to get access. I think the leads that have us the most hung up here are back in here. It looks like it is red and blue. See if I can get that unlatched and out of there. At this point, I think what's got me hung up is high voltage. So I'm going to have to pull the boot off the CRT, and I think with the high voltage lead loose, I'll have enough room to get in here and I get a look at everything on here. Although at this point I can see that transistor, so let's take a peek at it. So I'm guessing that big power transistor is going to be the problem. Hopefully there's nothing charged in here. So I've got a forward diode. I've got a dead short. Oh no, there's a forward diode. Kind of hard to reach in there. Oh, now I'm seeing a short again. Forward diode. That looks like that's a capacitor charging back someplace in circuit, I believe. That looks looks like a short. I don't know, capacitor charging back inside someplace. Okay, that shouldn't be. I'm going to have to see if I can find a service manual, perhaps, so I know which drive that is. This device looks really suspect. This big power transistor down here to me looks very suspect. That lead is in a really, or that high voltage connection's in a really ugly spot to get into. In fact, I don't know if I'll be able to get in there or not and release it. Not that I expect there to be any residual high voltage in there, but oops. It would help if the lead didn't come unstuck. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get that out of there without a much deeper tear down. Like a nearly impossible tear down. Those separate, or those definitely not designed to be serviced. That's going to be a major pain in the ass to disengage. I have voltage lead to the CRT just because of where it's positioned. And there's a little piece of plastic shielding that's wedged between it and the case to keep arc over from happening. It's an interesting design. I don't want to have to pull that logic card off, but I may have to pull that logic card off. This card. Seems the screws can be broke loose. Oh my God, those are tight. Wow. Shouldn't require that much torque. Well, a proper screwdriver, of course, makes all the difference. Color coding on those is identical. guy is got elastic holding him on. Slide back in here. There's an edge connector. A lot of stuff not hooked up. It's an interesting build. Let's see if we can get this card off the side here. Try to get access down into the high voltage lead on the CRT. Okay, this connector is keyed. There's one more screw. Some place holding that on. And of course it's, shoot, hidden up under where I can't get at it. Which means this little board here has got to be pulled. Hopefully these little nuts will break loose. How is that meant to come off of there? Okay, I wasn't expecting that. Wow, that is quite convoluted. VME style connector to an adapter connector, and it plugs straight down on. And it's a Rockwell chipset, so that's definitely a modem. So we'll set the modem aside. This card should be loose. Now I noticed this. And it was inside. There's a ribbon cable in here, this guy, which was on this, but this pin header here is pretty beat up. There was nothing connected to these or that pin header there. The pins on this are pretty crooked. And I'm just going to straighten them up a wee bit. When this looks like it's burned, it's just oily nastiness from having the high voltage near it. That's an interesting little board. It's got a 2732 on it. A TMS 7001. I'm assuming it's a processor of some kind. I don't recognize it. It was up underneath that modem card. 8 megahertz crystal. And just some TTL logic. I don't see any kind of RAM. So I'm assuming that's some kind of maybe microcontroller, or we'll set that card aside. Let's see if I have any chance of getting in here now. And releasing that high voltage lead. Man, oh man, that is just such a horrible place to have to work. There it comes. Good. Okay, that made all the difference. I think with that, this card will come out to a serviceable stance where I can actually get at it. Just looking for anything obvious. That cap there looks pretty failed to me. Was that an electrolytic cap? Is that an inductor? It's definitely some kind of a package I don't recognize. There's this yellow glue gluing these caps in place that makes the caps look like they've leaked when they really haven't. I'm going to have to isolate this transistor here and test it and test the other semiconductors on here. Sorry, just doing a continued visual inspection. Looking for anything obviously failed. That fuse actually looks blown, and that makes no sense. Because I'm assuming that's power. And here we go again. Can't get decent continuity. Fuse is fine. The fact that the CRT lit up at all tends to say that fuse was okay. So